Alright, welcome to the Medium 3 Review Screencast Part 3. We left off with learning about method calls, and now we're going to talk about objects. So we created an object when we did the scanner, but we're going to delve into that a bit more. So when we make a scanner, you can call it scan. I know our last one was called input, we'll call this one scan. Goes new scanner system.in. It is a object of type scanner, so it's an object of the scanner class, and it's called scan, and it's going to be this, and a new scanner, that's its value. Now scanner is kind of complicated, so let's dumb it down a bit, and let's actually write a class for a box. So let's think about what a class is. A class, you'll hear this phrase a lot. An object is an instance of a class. And what this means is a class is a general thing. It's, for example, we can have the class student, and each student will have a height, a weight, a hair color, a grade, a student ID number, a class list, whatever, right? But each student will be different, but they'll all have those things, those attributes. And you can do things to each student. You can say like, increase grade by 1% or decrease grade by 1%, that kind of thing. Or graduate, right? And that could be a method for a specific student. So the class is going to define all of these things, and each of the students that you create will be an object, an instance of the class. It's not going to be the same as every other student, but it's going to have the same categories of things as all the other students. So let's think of this like boxes, as a box. So the box class is going to define certain things about boxes. They're going to have a length, a width, and a height. And we're going to have getter and setter methods to create those. So if you go to here, this is new project, and Java application, and let's call this, I don't know, class practice. And sure. All right. So here's class practice, and here's my main. And we're going to do something radical. We're not going to work in main right now. We're going to go over to wherever class practice is. And here's my class practice.java. That's where I'm right now. I'm going to go into the package here. I'm going to right click, and I'm going to say new Java class. And I'm going to call it box. And I'm going to finish that. So now I have class box. And in class box, I'm going to give myself some space, and I'll zoom in for you guys. And I'm going to say every box has a height, a width, and I'm making these of type double, so they can handle decimals, and a length. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a method. And how do you create a method? Well, first you say public, and then you have the return type. What is this method going to return? Well, it's going to return a double, and we're going to call it get height. And actually, there's no semicolon after this. It's curly brackets. And we're going to say return height. And what this means is that whenever the method get height, and notice you have to have the parentheses, even if they're empty, whenever get height is called, it's going to return the height of whatever box object called it. And so in a very similar way, and actually I'll make one more thing, string color, so we can have different colored boxes. I'm going to say get width and get length and get color. And I'm going to return width, length, and color. Now what's the problem? The problem is incompatible type string cannot be converted to double. I said I was going to return a double, but I'm actually returning color, which is a string. So I have to say public string, get color. So now we can get stuff, but how do we set stuff? How do we give each object a height, width, blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to say public, public void. Now void just means that we're not going to return anything. So whereas this one, get color, we return a string, and get length, we return a double. Void means we're not going to return anything. But now what we want to do is we want to say height equals, because we're setting the height. Well, what is height going to equal? Well, it's going to equal whatever we put in the parentheses. So we're going to say double h here, and height equals h. So when we call set height, we're going to give it a double in the parentheses, and we're just naming that h for now. And we're going to set height, this variable height, to whatever h is. And so we're going to do this for the others as well. Oops, here we go. And we do set width, and you can still use h because this is very interesting. Whereas these variables are throughout the whole thing. When you declare a variable in the method like this, it stays within the method. So we can still use h and not have a problem. And we're going to do set length. And set color. And again, here's a problem. Double can't be converted to string. It's because we gave it a double, and it needs a string. Ta-da. So now, here's something interesting we can do. We can have another one. Public double get volume. And we can say return length times width times height. And we never gave it a volume, but that's something that we can do with the parameters of a box that are defined. So now we have all these methods, we just need to use them. So let's go back to our main method, right? Here's our box, here's our main, here's box, here's our main method, and the main, or the main class. And the main class is the one that has the main method in it. And we're going to say box, box1 equals new box, equals new box. Yeah, sure. All right. And so we're going to say I have a object named box1 of type box, and it's going to be a new box. And we'll get to this in just a bit. It's called a constructor. And we didn't make a constructor, so it's using a default constructor. And what we're going to do is we're going to say box1 dot. Oh, what can we do? Well, we can say set color. Set color, and it needs to be a string, so here's our quotation marks. So we're going to say red. And then I'm going to say box1 dot set length to be 4. And box1 dot set width to be 3. And box1 dot set height to be 2. And then I'm going to say system dot out dot print line box1 dot get color. And then I'm going to say, oops, system dot out dot print line box1 dot get volume. And we're going to see what this does for us. Red and 24.0. So 4 times 3 is 12, times 2 is 24. So the get volume method works, and the color was red, and we're getting the color, and that's giving us red. So that's how this works. Now, to illustrate the point, we can now have a box, box2 equals new box, and we can give it different things. We can say box2 dot, oops, rather, can't forget those. Box2 dot set color blue. And so even though they're both boxes, they have different things, different attributes. And that is the power of classes and objects. What's next? So we did this, instance variables, guarantee method. So instance variables, what these things are up here, these are called instance variables because they're throughout the instance, throughout the object, throughout the instance of the class. And what this kind of variable, h, would be called is a local variable because it's local to this method here. All right. And we'll have, I guess, one more screencast before we're all done.